Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today is Tuesday, so you know what that means. My buddy Satoshi Sean's joining me. I really want us to be careful about some of these narratives that are being pushed at us. Uncle Cliff warned us to hold things lightly during this time. We've been manipulated by the media so much, and so this is a time to stop, critically think about everything, and proceed with caution. So, be right back with Satoshi Sean right after this. Hey, Sean, how's your week going?
Hey, it's insane.
I know you're running around with you're having puppy adventures over there. So
Yeah, like 100-pound
100-pound puppy
puppy
adventures now.
adventures. Yeah, I just
Mm-hmm.
find this thing that will get her attention because she doesn't listen to me. She just like is when we have to take her to training like by professionals. I've been toying with the idea of getting rid of her actually.
No. Oh, that's
You know,
kind of sad. It's called rehoming to make you not feel guilty. That's what they call
my
it now.
niece, it's like the first thing. Autumn's like, "I'll get rid of her." I'm like, "No, we're not gonna get rid of dog. Never get rid of dog. I hate people get rid of dogs. I don't think they should ever be allowed to get a dog again." You know.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have a Laura, or so it's like I have a dog, but she's so, and I just keep thinking she's 4 months old, dude. She's gonna get huger. Our yard is like a good size, but is she gonna be happy? And the front yard is just tore up. I mean, she has dug giant holes.
It's
You
that
can't see the
puppy thing.
walkway.
Yeah.
And
Puppy
and
thing
now
stuff.
she's like, no, she's gonna calm down when we get her fixed. And they're like, has she had her first period? I'm like, I don't know.
No, she's still too young. Yeah, you gotta wait till she's like 6 or 8 months, something like that, and then get her fixed. Um,
Yeah, but I don't.
yeah.
I don't want to. But yesterday, I don't know if you know this, but raisins are extremely poisonous to dogs.
I didn't know that.
Yes, 3 raisins are fatal for every 2.5 pounds of dog.
I
Um,
wonder why.
Grapes, raisins, and something else. There's a scientific word for it, like
Okay.
something something. You can look it up. It's like scientists have found that it's the whatever in grapes and raisins,
Hmm.
and I think there's something else. Anyway, so I'm cheating on my diet, which I was looking. I was gonna get cereal. Don't eat cereal because it's a lot of calories, and you gotta have milk with it, so there's more calories. But I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy, and then I looked and I bought Raisin Bran and like uh checks, but with oat checks or bran checks, and I was like, this is me cheating. I didn't get Fruity Pebbles or anything. Anyway, guess which box of cereal she found and destroyed?
The raisin bran, of course.
Of course.
Mhm.
And I was like, raisins are bad. And she ate about half the bag.
Mhm.
And she ate it while I was taking a nap. So I look it up and, vomiting and diarrhea. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. But then I saw the fatal thing. And then it said that dogs get lethargic. And she's like even more hyped than usual. So I'm like, well, she's not lethargic. And then she calmed down some last night. So I was like, wake up, wake up. I don't know. It was weird that she was.
Mhm.
She's so stupid. Oh my god, I thought maybe she wasn't, but she is. Yesterday, so I had these chicken breasts, huge chicken breasts. Like we bought them for family night, and then we didn't make chicken, and they're like a pound probably each or something, half. They're huge chicken breasts, and there was two in there that I was saving for family night because the boy's friend that comes to family night.
Doesn't sound like they're organic.
It's gonna come sure it's not. They were like, you wouldn't want to meet those chickens in a freaking dark alley. They would.
Yeah,
Like,
that sounds like
but they're
not right.
huge. But so I saved these for family night with the boy's friend comes over. I'm still while they're gone, and we just watch like old kung fu movies. And I make smaller food or we order something. But anyway, and I go to make them, and they're not bad, but like the bottom of them, the liquid was kind of gooey, so it's like, no, I'm not gonna do this. So I took them out real quick, put them in the freezer. I'm gonna cook the dogs these giant chicken breasts, right? So, yesterday I cooked the giant chicken breasts. I cut them up to big chunks of chicken,
Mhm.
mixed them with the kibble. I mixed in make gravy, and I put in some leftover spaghetti sauce, right? Just I have to feed Alora by hand. I have to hold the bowl on one side. I had to buy a special bowl that has these little pockets to make eating extremely hard.
Oh, so she'll slow down.
So she still said it right. It's so
Yeah, I've heard
about
about that. Hmm.
and it works. Like it takes her a while. Alora's
Hmm.
head is small, so her face like fits in each pocket, so she could eat it faster. But so I give her her food over here. She takes a while to eat it, and then I hold the open bowl on my right, and then Alora eats out of that, and they finish about the same time. But sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, wait, she's eating," and she'll come to the other side, and then I just pull the bowl up. And she's taking a long time, and she's eating in a pot this time because there was so much food. There was so much chicken breast it wouldn't fit in a dog bowl. And she looks up at me, and it looks like she's murdered 20 people or killed a cow, just red from the spaghetti sauce. I look in there. She ate around every chicken breast piece.
Because she knows it's bad.
Alora ate the crap out of it. This dog will eat a pipe. She doesn't care. I'm like, why
But
aren't you
she
eating the chicken
knows when
breast?
it's bad chicken. Yeah,
It's not. It wasn't
that's
bad
funny.
chicken. It really was. It didn't stink or anything.
Mm.
So I was like, and then Laura went and ate. Well, so Laura ate like 2.5 pounds of chicken, and so I gave her more kibble or something. I gave her a sausage. I don't know. I was tired, but I'm like, you didn't eat. You'll eat You'll eat the box of cereal, and then go after the cereal, and
Hmm.
you didn't eat all this like chicken that I made for you. You're an idiot dog.
Terrible.
Oh,
Ungrateful. They're ungrateful.
so that's what's going on. Ted and Alex are better.
Oh, I'm glad to hear the boys are better.
They're better, and
Good.
then whew, they heard some horror stories about COVID in the beginning parts, like when it first came out and the stuff the government did. Man, people were like telling them everything.
Because they're in
Vietnam,
Vietnam.
right? So China like made everyone enforce the super strict rules at first.
Hmm.
Um, Vietnam's kind of like the Texas of the China thing. They're like pretty big, pretty powerful, pretty, but they still fall under China. Um, but so now things relaxed. But they were like, if you had COVID before, like you weren't allowed out of your house, the government would block off your street, not just your house, but your street and your house. And then everyone around, all the people around you had to like watch and report you if you left your house. You could only go in your front yard. And this is like till fairly recently, but now everything's kind of calm. And I kept saying, you didn't call that 800 number they want you to call. And they're like, no, everyone said don't call the 800 number. So they're all good though.
The whole thing is just insane. Okay. Well, thanks for the update. Glad the boys are safe and
Yeah.
doing well. Hopefully they'll be home soon. This is what I kind of wanted to talk about. So there's a really thought-provoking video out. And it's about kind of how communism comes in and takes over a society and gets you to kind of like eat your own. And kind of how we've been.
I do like my thoughts provoked.
Yes, you do like your thoughts provoked. So here's kind of where I am on it, and I'm open to discussion. I want everybody in the live chat to give me their thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear people's comments. Because I really think this is a time for critical thinking. It's a time to hold the narrative loosely and for all of us to really have a lot of reflection about self-reflection, think about what's going on right now, understand that we've been manipulated for so long, but it's time to look at each thing in front of us and then critically think. And to me, it has to all go back to the Constitution, and my relationship with God, myself, my family, and what's right for us. And so, and each person has to decide what that is for themselves and their family. But this was a really, really smart or interesting thought. Anyway, I'm going to play this. I want to know your thoughts on it after
Before you
this.
do, before you play
Yeah.
that, everything you said made me think of someone. You know who Cassius Clay is?
Is he a boxer? Right.
Well, yes. Muhammad Ali's name originally was.
Yes, Muhammad Ali. That's it.
But you know who Cassius Clay is, or anyone in the chat know who Cassius Clay is as part of the U.S. government or our history?
No.
He is one of the most important people in U.S. history. He is the most important person in our history when it comes to anything about 10 years, 20, 30 years before the Civil War and after the Civil War. The most important person, more than Lincoln. And this got me thinking. I was thinking about this the other week about Russia. And we could talk about it on my channel. But basically, I've said before that our country wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Russia. That's not taught in schools. But also, the South would have probably won if it wasn't for Russia. And slaves wouldn't have been freed until much later in a different way or something like that. But things would have been a lot different if it wasn't for Russia. People don't know that, well, if you form a country, which Liberland, you know about Liberland?
Mm-hmm.
All you really, really need to make a country is for other countries to recognize it as a country.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And Oklahoma just did that international deal with UK. They just did a trade deal with United Kingdom. So that could that make? I guess I should ask that as a question.
No, you have to say I'm a country. Oklahoma's still saying it's Oklahoma.
You don't know that.
Huh?
You don't know that?
Yeah, Oklahoma's a state. They're not trying to secede or anything. They would have to secede and then ask to be recognized as a country. So the South seceded from the United States. Isn't it odd that all these no countries recognize them as a country and just supported them on paper? The reason for that, now this is the truth. This is not, I don't understand why this isn't taught. So England, not happy that we have beat them. France, there's a bunch of countries. I told you Spain tried to come in and actually support them, and then Mexico stopped the troops.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we got Cinco de Mayo. But Russia went to these countries and said, if you recognize the southern states as a country, we will declare war on you, Great Britain, France, and Spain. So Spain didn't recognize them, but was sending troops. Russia threatened all of these great powers with all-out war if they recognized the Confederate States and didn't, therefore, given legitimacy to it. Did you ever hear about that? Did you know that? Mm-hmm. That was because of our ambassador, Cassius Clay, insane man. He was the ambassador to Russia at the time and talked him into doing that. Yep, never taught. There's so much about Cassius Clay. We could do a whole thing on him.
Okay. So back to, very interesting. I know our whole education system, and that goes back to the point of, the manipulation of the narrative and all of that. But what I was talking about was this whole communism and the infiltration and, So John F. Kennedy's birthday was Monday, Memorial Day. He would have been 106. And he talked about one of the Dragon Chain videos is a quote from him, talks about our country being infiltrated, the infiltration from within. I can't remember the exact quote, but I'll try to find it. I think I have it. I'll try to end this video with that quote because I think I have it on my StreamYard. But anyway, watch this video and then I want to know your thoughts on this.
Here's why. There's 3 initiatives that are put down through the World Economic Forum. One is called CEI, one is called ESG, one is called DEI. These initiatives are put down as social initiatives from the World Economic Forum, the most powerful people on the planet, through the banks to the big corporations. These corporations, unlike my business, actually depend on that financing 100%. So if they don't do the things that these 3 initiatives, the CEI, ESG, and the DEI say, they actually lose their funding. So they can't operate their business. So you say, well, aren't these people smart enough to understand why they're destroying their business? They can't not do it. Because if they don't do it, they won't get their funding. So they can't operate. So they have no choice but to do it. And then they drive their business into the dirt. And here's why that's happening. Because the people who run these companies, the officers of the companies, are not the founders of the companies. These are people that are many generations removed and many degrees of caring about the actual brand removed. All right. So these people are college graduates who think they know a whole bunch of stuff because they have an advanced degree, and they are making decisions that are, basically about the money and thinking that eventually people will adopt this and it will stop. But it's not going to stop, and it's not supposed to stop. This is what people are failing to realize. What's happening is we are dealing with a communist insurgency that is undermining the values and the identity of the American public. What they are doing is they are intentionally creating a scenario where
What?
I was thinking about this too this month. Now, you hear what he just said about 10 seconds before that? Roll back about 10, 20 seconds.
The communist insurgent
About America. Right there. That's good. Hit play.
Public. What they are doing is they are intentionally creating a scenario where the American people rejecting this initiative is actually hurting iconic American brands that remove much of the American identity. So when you name these companies off, all of these companies represent America.
Okay, he already said there, America's identity. Now, what we're seeing this now, but go back about a decade or so when the big box stores were moving in.
Yeah.
And it was killing the small business.
All
You're
mom
and pop grocery stores. Mm-hmm. If you're older, like we had 3 mom and pop grocery stores. It was the weirdest thing because I was born in the North, but we had a grocery store where I didn't pay for food.
Yeah.
My mom gave me a grocery list. I go down there and I just sign a piece of paper. And at the first of the month, my parents would go in and pay the bill.
Yeah. When we moved to Oklahoma, and they had a little, it was oh gosh, I can't remember their names, but they had a daughter named Sissy who sang in church, and it was the dad and the mom and the daughter named Sissy who ran the little grocery store, and he had a meat counter.
Yeah.
The meat counter and the grocery store, and everybody, the whole town went in there and grocery shop there, and the kids would go in and sign their name, and everybody had their ticket, and then when they get paid, this was, I had never seen anything like that till I
we had a small chain here too. It was like in 5, 3 or 4 towns or 5 towns. So, but here's the thing: we can see this now with Bud Light. Everyone's like, screw Bud Light, and they're like, well, Anheuser-Busch and this, and they're all connected, man. Yeah, but now everyone's going to local breweries and craft breweries. Basically, it's the mom and pop, people that are making beer. And all these little breweries, especially with around Austin, are standing up and say, hey, we don't believe in crap. We don't care about politics. We make good beer. And people have the ability to do that. See, they came in 20 years ago, and everyone's like, I don't care. I don't care if it comes from China. And then that was Walmart's big thing. It's all made in America. Because people rejected the made in China stuff. They wanted to buy American.
It's not all made in America.
But,
Walmart's not all made in
It was
America.
100%. Like that was their slogan years ago. That's how
I
they
didn't
came
know
in.
that.
Everything was made in America. When Sam Walton was alive, that was like the big
Oh,
thing.
okay.
But that was because that was the only hurdle they had. But that closed down all the hardware stores. That closed down the grocery stores. So basically, back then, and we didn't see down the road here, this evil plan to get us to where we are now. But when he said killing our American identity, that's what we did. We became super centralized because of these giant grocery stores and then all in super Walmarts, basically all in one stores. And now we're here. But
Yeah, you're okay. You got to listen to the rest of this because you're missing the point of what he's saying. Because we've almost swung the pendulum too far. So let me finish this real quick because we've almost swung too far. So we need to be careful.
America, when you think of them traditionally. So now they're removing part of the identity, which is part of the communist process called demoralization. If there's less identity in America, there's less to fight for, which makes it easier to conquer. All right. Then on top of it, one of the goals of communism is to create two classes of people, very poor and very rich. And so what they're doing here is they are getting the American public to cancel their own companies that actually hurts their own neighbors who are good, hardworking American people. Because the people at Bud Light at the top are not the ones feeling the pain here. It's the delivery drivers. It's the hardworking red, white, and blue Americans that believe the same motherfucking shit that you all believe, who are getting fired or laid off or losing because of this. So they have run an operation to push this initiative down through the companies intentionally, where the companies cannot resist it because they're required to do so for their funding, knowing that the American people are going to reject it and destroy these companies, creating the lower class system that they're trying to create in the first place.
That's the part. Have we gone too far? That's the conversation that I want to have. Are we eating our own? Have we so quickly jumped? We're so pissed about everything going on in the world that the minute we see something woke, like I get the Target stuff, they're targeting children with Satanist clothing. Like anytime you sexualize children, gloves come off, I'm out. You don't get to target children.
I think
But
we are going to
an adult product, if they want a gay person for Pride Month or whatever and have adult beverage person, like I think it's a bad choice marketing wise, but like I don't know that you need to cancel the company. And are we shooting ourselves in the foot as far as breaking down an American company? Like are we taking the hook, you know what I mean, of this communist manifesto idea?
Yeah, and we're going to do it, and we should. It's good. When we say we're going to burn it down and it's going to be bad, and some people, this is it. It's going to be bad. We're doing it. I said it. Remember, I want to talk about this like a couple weeks ago, and you're like, "Oh, I don't care about this Dylan Mulvaney stuff. I want to talk about it." I said Anheuser-Busch is huge. It's iconic. It was huge, and it could. Remember, I said it could destroy the whole everything. This could be the catalyst that breaks it down. This could be the start of it. And like he said, tons of people are being laid off. And I said that. I said, right. There's tens to hundreds of thousands of people connected with this that are good, hardworking, blah, 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 all that. I told you that. And if you throw Target on the fire, as soon as it all happened, because the anger is here, the fire is burning, the spark has already been lit. We have gone over the edge. We're probably going to destroy Target. We're going to probably destroy. I mean, they're talking about now that Anheuser-Busch might not be able to come back from this. And it's probably going to happen. And we knew the economy was going to crash. We knew everything was going to happen. We've been talking about it for years.
Right.
It's going to be bad. And those aren't just words. Those are warnings. And it's going to be bad. But
so somebody's going to pay for it. Now we're picking winners and losers kind of thing.
But we're America. We're different. And that's what we don't. That's what they don't get. That's what they don't Um, that's their downfall. It's going to be because Trump said one thing that really hit me is that we're not refugees.
Yeah.
We don't have the
We have
mindset.
somewhere else
It's
to
like,
go.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, I have to now fight or die. Whereas most of the world is like, oh, let us run somewhere else. Let's get away. Fight or flee. We fight. That's the American mindset. And something he said about destroying the American identity and making us cancel ourselves. That's why they've been teaching kids to hate America. That's why they've been pushing all the negative things that's ever happened, even though they happen in every other country. Is that, in America, we fought hard. We fought ourselves and our own families to fix some of the evils in the world. But kids and a whole generation have been taught to hate themselves, and that America is bad. Get rid of Columbus Day. Get rid of all
Right.
your identity because it's bad. And like he said, then the idea that they have is that there's nothing to fight for.
There's nothing to replace it. So one of the things I learned in marketing was that you don't lead with what you hate, because nobody wants to listen to that. Nobody wants to listen to a big hate filled thing. Nobody wants to listen to, nobody gets behind that. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that, because a lot of people can be bound by hate and anger and whatever. But a more positive way and a more powerful thing is to join people. Tell somebody what you love. Tell somebody what you're passionate about. And that is the way you win, build, grow. And so if we want this to not be a path of eating our own and destruction of America through this transition, then instead of saying like, I hate Budweiser for this or that, we need to start talking about what we love about America. Like, we need to be louder than all the hate out there with what we love about America.
I think you're right, but I don't think that's an old way of thinking. And I think that's one of the things that they have been working on, is changing the basic way of thinking. And people wake up, it's like, hey, what are we mad at today? What are we protesting today? And that's the new way of thinking. That's a whole generation.
Because they want you to be ineffective.
Right.
They want people to be ineffective. So they're like, hey, go be a victim, be mad about something, and then go tweet about it and be ineffective. But instead, we could stand together and say, I really love this. And let's cross promote. Tell your friends what you love about, share what you love about. Anything that you can share, anytime you can share love, maximize it, it exponentially makes it more. Then when you talk about hate, like that hate is like heavy and weighs you down and takes energy away from people. It wears people out, all of that.
I think that's where we're at. I think that's where we're at now, though. It has been reduced to good versus evil. And basically, it's like,
and how he says we vote with our dollars. We can vote not just by withholding them from companies we hate. We can go say, you know what? And I am going to vote with my dollars in a way that says, I love this brand or this group or this thing. Like, I'm going to go support Satoshi Shawn's channel. And, I'm going to subscribe. I'm going to.
And that is the good way of thinking. That's not the evil way of thinking. I think those people are those people now. Women's basketball, women's sports. Women
get out of basketball, because basketball's so corrupt with China. I can't agree with
don't see that. See, now you're on that little thing.
Let's talk about something positive.
Everyone, women haven't really been into sports. Sports has been a man thing, and the inclusion and all that. Bill Burr talks about it. It's like, you have women's basketball, and everyone complains because they don't make money, and it's not fair. Nothing's fair. It's nobody goes. And the people, there's like thousands of people protesting about women's basketball and how they don't get paid the same and blah 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 blah, and they care so much and they're so angry. And then the reporter
then they don't go to their games.
Exactly, they don't go to their games, or ask them, what are your favorite teams? And they don't know any. And like, you have a team in your city. What is that? And they're like, they don't care. They just want to be angry and fight.
Right.
So I think we've been reduced to two camps. I think it's good versus evil. I think it's the rebellion versus the empire. I think we're gonna. I think the good guys are going to have to do what you said. We're going to have to fight in a positive way, but I think we're going to have to build. And I think if we do recognize it, that the other side will eat its own and just die.
I love it, Sean. You sound so positive.
It's just realistic. It's just realistic, man.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, there's some good stuff going on. I know we're going to head over to your channel in a second here. This was really exciting too. Friend shared this today.
Gold and silver and how it can be associated with distributed ledger technology. It's something that we have not explored, but certainly we are very, very keen to explore distributed ledger technology for all sorts of purposes, particularly in the fintech world.
Sounds interesting. Sounds like somebody might have a patent about that. I don't know. This was another huge story that I just started reading about. I haven't unpacked it completely, but I know that our student loans are attached with basically the only thing backing the dollar, and they made a big oopsie about it. There's a big accounting error, a $300 billion student loan accounting error, and not in the taxpayers' favor. So definitely should check that article out. I put that in the Telegram group. There's a link in the description for our Telegram group if you guys want to check that out. This one was really cool too. Doctors are baffled as patient's father receives $130,000 refund check as insurers divert the payment. So they're like the insurance company, instead of paying directly to the doctor, they paid to the patients. There was like a refund, like an overpayment. And so they went ahead and sent it to the patient's father. And the doctors weren't so happy about that. So interesting to see if we see more of those kind of things. Services rendered to dozens of patients stopped being sent. Yeah, the payments for services rendered to dozens of patients stopped. Anyway.
It's weird how the medical system, remember when like people started looking at their bill years and years ago and they're like, why are you charging me $7 for one Tylenol?
Or $80 for one Tylenol.
That's theft. And they're like, oh no, see, it's because we have to pay $20,000 for this one CAT scan machine. So and they were like, no, that's not how things work. The medical system is run a lot like the government does stuff. It's like, why are you paying $100 for a hammer? It's just and then the way they try to explain stuff, it's just, no, you're obviously screwing around, moving money from here to there.
And a lot of it is contracts with buddies that have deals, and the big guy gets 10% and all this. This is really interesting. The DOJ report, it comes out on summer solstice, which, they do all their wonderful magic. Yes. Do their wonderful magic on those holidays. So the report comes out on the 20th of June, and Durham testifies before the House. He does a private meeting before them on the 20th, the evening of the 20th, and then public testimony on the 21st of June. So I think that'll be.
I hope everyone had a good Memorial Day, by the way.
Hot time in the city. Yeah.
Ashton texted me about it. It's just weird. It's so weird. Just weird.
Well, maybe we should jump over to your channel and everybody can hear what Ashton Kutcher text you about.
It was like somber, but nice. It was just odd. It's odd.
There's Pimpy in the chat.
Hey, Pimpy. I don't see
it. Hey, Pimpy. Other Side of Things is Pimpy's channel. So if you guys aren't following Pimpy, check out the Other Side of Things on YouTube. He's got great information about gold, silver, and lots of other things on the other side of things. Thanks to everybody joining us. Yeah, I really wanted to hit up that thought around, is America destroying itself? Did we go too far? Did we fall for their trick of, jumping on the bandwagon to destroy
I think we're
our
like
own?
50, just like, we look at everything. Look at the election whole. It's all, but even, when you're for and you've drank the Kool-Aid, you still are not a complete moron. So you can look at what the former vice president does. And that's why his approval rating is so low.
Yeah.
Because even though they're like, hey, I still have this way of thinking, I'm still on board with the cause of, evil, but they don't think that, but they're like, but this guy is terrible. So they just need a better front man. But I think we've gotten to the point where, remember, like a year ago, we're like, I don't think we're going to wake any more people up for crypto. I think people are going to have to kind of have something personal. We've laid the seed.
We don't have to, though, because so I was also watching an interview with Edward Griffin, the Creature of Jekyll Island guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought up the point that like the 1% are the leader and they get the 3% that take action. Or no, wait, 1% of the leader, or is the guy who speaks it or has the idea, the 3% are the leaders, they get the 15% that take action. And he's like, the other 70%, he's like, they're just the followers. They're going to be like, what happened? And they're just going to go along. They're never going to be the ones they're never going to wake up. They're just going to be the ones that, do whatever somebody tells them to do. So don't be so focused on waking up, the rest of them. They're never going to wake up. But I'm sure we have the 15% that are passionate about changing this and saying enough and taking choices to do something different. So,
but like I said, I think that we've come to the point where it isn't us versus them, but I think they're so self-destructive. They're so destructive that they can't help but be self-destructive. It's like if you walk away or you don't fight, they'll scream and go insane. Like the Congress person up there, just let them go, man. No one's arguing with them. If you argue with them, you're part of the crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to step back and say, hey, you're crazy. And and that's why everybody hated that libs of TikTok thing, because they never said anything. They didn't argue. They just said, here, look what this person is doing.
And think for yourself.
Everyone was so angry.
Yeah, it was just holding a mirror up to it. Yeah,
I'm literally sharing their video.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's like a yes and no. Is USA going to self-destruct? Yes, but we're not all in the same boat. There's two boats.
And is that a good thing? Maybe that is a good thing.
It is, because you don't have to fight as hard, because the enemy will eat their own.
Mm-hmm.
They will eat their own.
They're starting to turn on themselves. Sorry.
We have to be ready to build, because we don't have the infrastructure anymore. Like we've always talked about, we don't have the infrastructure for like pharmaceuticals. Everything's resourced in China and India. But when it comes
Trump already started making a plan. He had already made a deal with India to source directly, and they were rebuilding in Puerto Rico to be the manufacturing.
But we have also alternative pharmaceuticals, which you know a lot about. That might be a big part of the rebuilding of.
That's a great point.
So things are going to change, and but there will be pain, there will be some discomfort, and if we had all those mom and pop grocery stores, if we had those supply chains still set up like it was before, which this is cliche, but that was part of I guess making America great again, was going back to that kind of Americana. Americana was the best. And if we still had that in place, we wouldn't have so many of the problems and so many outside entities that are able to control us fiscally and also by other ways, like with the medication and our supply chain.
Yeah, I agree completely. Speaking of Memorial Day, my oldest son and his wife came, and I'm just so encouraged by this younger generation, whether I'm talking to the kids at the Pebbleton Post or, my daughter Carly or and her husband, or our daughter Tiffany and her fiance, my son and his wife. And there is this trend with the younger generations that they want to have a farm or some land. And they want to have, when they have their kids, they want their kids to be raised around animals or doing chores. They want to homeschool. They want to get away from the rat race. They don't want a McMansion or live in a loft in New York and be in the hustle and bustle and, work on Wall Street and drive a DeLorean or whatever our dreams were back in the 90s, I just think it's really encouraging. And they want that family around and the generational stuff. And it's not about things. It's about relationships. And that's really
I think
encouraging.
that's part of the way that they miss the mark when it comes to Americans. Because they're like, you'll have nothing and appreciate it. And they've tried to make people want less because we wanted that excess in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, so the tiny home thing, it's like, yeah, we'll get them so they're happy living in a box. But then that made a whole different way of thinking for Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm happy with less, but I want a homestead to go with it.
Yeah.
I want independence to go with it. I want, van life to be not tethered. And I don't want to be part of that system. And they were trying to create a system and to try to use the same old ways of thinking, but in a to be able to control people. And it backfires.
And instead, the Americans found the freedom in it.
Right, the freedom in it.
And craved the freedom in it. Yeah, that's really great.
It's so much better for me to go and, see America and not be tethered and bogged down and be part of that system if I have a van that I can live out of.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm going to have a family, we can have a tiny home. And we'll be able to, be self-sufficient with just a few acres. And it's climate's going to destroy the world. We need to, government needs to fix it. And they're like, well, I can just have an acre of land and I can,
my own
I can
food
fix
and
it. I can
have
fix
a goat. Yeah.
and it backfires when it comes to American ingenuity and the American ways of thinking, because we throw freedom in the mix. It's like, oh, I understand your point. How can I do it this way? Where I'm not controlled by you. I live in my own box and not the box that you have for me next to other people.
Not the 15-minute city. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, let's jump over to your channel and hear what Ashton Kutcher had to say on Memorial Day. And happy birthday, John F. Kennedy.
Cool stuff about John F. Kennedy we could talk about. Also, I'm going to blow your mind when you go.
Oh, I would love that. All right. See you over on Sean's channel.
You won't. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
All right. See y'all.
See you there.
Love you. And remember,
the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.